Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
What's up? YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, IG. Well, IG mad at me again. I'm about to start messing with them all together and they on some bull. But to everybody else, shout outs. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I hope all is well. I hope you had a blessed week. I hope you made it home in one piece, stress-free. It's good to be here again. We got an interesting one tonight. Now, it's relatively old, but it's new to me. And I'm not really sure if a lot of people are familiar with this story. But I thought it would be interesting to discuss. It's unfortunately another one of those racist, unnecessary situations that make us look at ourselves in the mirror and really ask, what are we doing? I got a video that I'm going to play, but I want to bring Sydney up. And matter of fact, I almost forgot again. I don't know why I do that. Let me put this up here. Just in case anyone wants to pull up, send any thoughts, questions, any topic ideas. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators. I'll never forget to give flowers out to all of them. Sydney, what's going on? You here?
Hello. You'll have to excuse my son in the background. He's mad that I put on a show for my daughter. So he's trying to get my attention. I'm doing pretty good. Just have been cleaning the house and enjoying my husband's time off. But excited to be here. Let me get my husband. One second.
Handle your business. Hey, fighting over that TV when you was younger ain't no joke. I know all too well about that. That's a fact. I used to hate sitting there for 30 minutes watching the Walker Texas Ranger or like some random crap that my folks wanted to look at, and I wasn't really into it. So I understand that. Okay. I was wondering where that came from. Salutes. Don, I appreciate it. I appreciate the love, bro. I hope you're doing well, man. I see you still hustling. You still making moves out here. Keep doing your thing, man. Mikasa Sukasa, when you get time and you are ready to make your return, you know where I'm at. All right. But yeah, just to give you guys a backstory, the gentleman here got into a road rage situation with a woman, and out of anger or ignorance, let's just say both, he decided that he was going to put his hands on this woman's child. The mother followed the guy back to his house, and there was an exchange of words. Like I said, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the story. Sydney, did you get a chance to watch it?
I didn't, but even by the title, I already know I have a lot to say.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring it up on the screen and play it. Robin, I appreciate the repost. I noticed you did that the other day and probably the day before that too, so I appreciate that. Respectfully. I'm gonna bring this on the screen though. I'm gonna play it. It's not very long, but you'll get the idea of what happened here, and we're just gonna jump right into it. Let me rewind this all the way to the beginning.
Come on, nigger, let's go. Get my license plate. You fucking threw shit at my car, you dumb fucking nigger. It's okay. You put your hands on my kids. I have it on video. I have dash cam. You grabbed my kids. I have it on camera. You grabbed my daughter. You grabbed my daughter. You grabbed my daughter. You put your hands on my daughter. That's okay. I got it all on video, and I'm pressing charges. You will be going to jail. And I know where you live. Thank you. I followed you all the way here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You touched the wrong nigger. You touched the wrong nigger. You want to call me a nigger? Yeah. Yeah, you were laughing in the car too. Yeah, I know. If my daughter was a kid and you put your hands on her. My daughter was a kid and you put your hands on her. My daughter was a kid and you put your hands on my daughter? And you thought I wasn't going to follow you? Who the fuck you think I am? You fucking put your hands on my daughter? You fucking put your hands on my daughter? You touch me with this, I swear to God. What are you going to touch me with this, I swear to God. Get my fucking plate. Come on, nigger, let's go. Get my license plate. You fucking threw shit at my car, you dumb fucking nigger. It's okay. You put your hands on my kids. I have it on video. I have dash cam. You grabbed my kids. I have it on camera. You grabbed my daughter. You grabbed my daughter. You grabbed my daughter. You put your hands on my daughter. That's okay.
probably the most hard R's I've heard in that span of time in my life. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think it was. Shiloh's was pretty bad too. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think hers was as ruthless as his was, but it was pretty bad. I'm gonna jump on both parties' cases here, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it first, because just when you think you done seeing shit like this, you end up seeing stuff like this again. Road rage. This is what this is, and I think it's a little deeper than that too. But
did they get the incident on camera?
I didn't see the incident. All I found out was he was eventually arrested, and he did lose his job. So yeah.
That's a relief, at least. I still can't believe. I mean, I can, because I understand psychology enough, and I understand what causes the behavior, but I still don't understand it. Like, I just don't understand how people can live their life being that cruel to people, and nothing to them triggers any self-reflection or like ownership or anything like that. They just continue. I mean, it is a sign of trauma. When people themselves go through trauma, they become more intolerant of other people. So it is sad that most people are hateful because they've experienced hate themselves. But it's still like, to act like that in public for people that you don't even know, I just don't understand. I'm like, what happened to? I mean, we've always had this type of behavior throughout history, but you'd think that we have grown past that. So it's an unpleasant reminder that we haven't really made as much progress as we think we have.
I believe both parties are at fault for specific reasons.
Absolutely. She should not have followed him home. In some states, that is illegal. That is considered stalking or harassment, or inciting an incident or something. Like, there's some other, like, you're inciting somebody to act out against you. So she really should not have followed him. She should have stayed where she was at and called the police, because that's technically a vehicle situation, and I'm fairly certain by law, if you get involved in anything regarding vehicles and other drivers and stuff like that, you're supposed to stay in place and wait for police. So she definitely should not have followed him at all. But yeah, the volley of insults was still like, and honestly, she escalated the situation for sure. Her tone, the way she approached him, I can understand why as a mother, but yeah, she definitely caused it to get worse. And probably did. I mean, he still got arrested, but it probably didn't do much for her, and technically could have put her at risk of also losing her job.
He's lucky to be alive. He's very lucky to be alive. There's a lot of parents that's not playing about their children. Words will get you unalived by parents. I know people personally, they not having that. You say anything negative about their children, they're like, when you would talk about someone's mom when you was a kid, those were fighting words. your mama's so fat, such and such and such and such. That's why your mama been with such and such. That alone was going to trigger boys. You bring children into it, you're asking for an invitation. So I'm not advocating for, but what I am saying is the risk involved here were extremely high, unpredictable. You don't know who she is, what she has on her. She doesn't know who he is, what he has on him. And one of the issues I got with this is the way that I'm gathering it all began over road rage. This all started over either someone being impatient, someone cutting someone off, or someone flipped someone off. It's always something real petty. I've never, like, if it's an extreme, like somebody actually crashed into your driver's side, or it was a fender bender, I can understand having a certain level of temperament. But if someone is kind of just being passive on the road, or they're being extremely rude and they have absolutely no road manners, and you get pissed off by that, that's not an excuse to take it to an escalated place. And I think that's what happened here, because he said that she threw something at his vehicle first. So I wish we had the footage that showed exactly what happened. But even still, this is where calmer heads are supposed to prevail. And I know you can't predict how someone's going to react, but you do have control over yourself. So we know there's a root cause here. Somebody initiated the trigger points. I don't know if it was her or him. If what he says is true and she actually threw something at his vehicle, I can understand him being upset. However, if what he did was true, which clearly it was, because he ended up losing his job, then what are we really doing here? She should have just got his information, called the police, and then let them handle it from there. But if you are in this situation and a man, a fully grown man, chokes your child or put his hands on your child and calls him out of the name, in that very moment, do you just let them drive off and then still respond level-headed like that? I mean, you're right there in the moment.
Yeah, I definitely understand her reaction, but I also wonder who instigated the whole incident. Because if she truly, if she threw something at him, I would wonder what he did to incite her to throw something at him. And she said was she picking up her daughter from school, or was she going through a neighborhood?
I believe she was picking her daughter up.
I wonder if it was a parent that she knew. Like her kid might have gone to school with the child's parent. Like, I wonder if it was a parent from that school. Because it could bring a different dynamic to it if this is like an ongoing feud, if they had prior exposure to each other. So I definitely wonder, and also I wonder what she did to make him say those things to her. Like, what pissed him off, I guess. Yeah, it's just I really, really wish we had the video footage. That would make this make so much more sense if we had that. I'm assuming if it happened on a campus, they probably do have the video footage, but we probably won't see that for a while. Maybe if they did have that.
I honestly don't think we need to see the origins of it. Just listening to her level of anger and listening to his level of anger. I put it this way: the choice of words that both of them used against each other, it kind of already tells me what kind of person he is and what kind of person she is. She followed him. She's confrontational. Her aggression is it reminds me of a situation I was in just recently. Coming home, my driver was a foreigner, and to live here, you have to be an aggressive driver. You can't be soft behind the wheel. People will drive you off the road. So on the way back, there's a bus going in the opposite direction that we are going. But before we even got to that point, there's a woman of my complexion. We're in this lane, she's on in this lane, but what she decides to do is cut in front of us. That triggers my driver. So she cuts in front of him. That triggers him to blow his horn and yell at her. She responds the same way that this woman responds, but she keeps driving. But she's still, I can hear her. Like my windows are rolled up. I can still hear her talking. Like she's pissed because my driver said something to her, but you are in the wrong. You cut in front of us. So we're both about to make a right turn, but the bus is blocking us from completely turning. So now we're behind the woman. My driver is beep, 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 blowing the horn at her. The woman in front of us that he just got into it with is screaming at the bus driver. Two people get off the bus to try to navigate her around. It was a whole lot. My point is, like, you can tell by the way certain people communicate if they're going to be problematic unnecessarily. Like they're not the type of people that's just going to walk away. They're going to flip you off and do a whole lot of extra unnecessary stuff out of emotions that will ultimately perpetuate more issues that it should have been. And that's what I gather from this. I see two bullheaded people who got triggered by the way the other person was probably driving. Someone initiated it. Maybe, like you said, it stems from something deeper. Maybe it didn't. But she felt it in her soul to continue on with whatever was going on at the moment to follow him. And I don't know what possessed him to put his hands on the child. That's what I'm kind of triggered on. Like, how does that happen? Is this just a car situation or is it something else?
I also wonder how exact her description is, like whether it was a true choking or if it was just like he maybe like lunged his hands through the window and was just trying to like grab at her. So I imagine we'll never truly know that either. But I just am curious what the circumstances were around the choking. Like what did he actually do physically? Because obviously that's gonna, I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference because you're still attacking a child, but it, like, if it was more vicious or if it was more like not instinctive, impulsive, it would change my opinion a tiny bit, just because if you're impulsive, there's the element of what she had done. But if it was completely unprovoked and he was just like being overly aggressive, that would definitely change things, and I would be more worried about his future behavior.
Yeah, I did a show a while ago on people being impatient on the road. Actually, I believe you were a part of one of them with the incident of it was like a truck and a guy behind the truck, and they got into an altercation, and then the car sped off. They shot and killed the woman in the driver's seat over, I don't even remember what it was, something stupid. And it's like I don't understand. I just don't understand how people are so impatient.
Sadly, part of it has a lot to do with our society, our culture. There's a lot of research on anger because anger and domestic violence used to be a very big problem throughout history, really. And there have been, especially in the 50s, 60s, 70s, when we were trying to understand emotions and how it can be used with the government and stuff like that. They've since learned a lot about anger. And one of the links they found is when there's economic hardship, the rates of all aggression-related crimes / misdemeanors tend to increase. Road rage tends to increase. Speeding tends to increase. Car crashes tend to increase. And people's, like, I forgot what's the term when you like have aggressive behavior in public, and people acting out in public, domestic violence, murder, like all of basically anything really linked to anger and aggression goes up in times of stress. They also have found that, especially during food insecurity, rage events are far more common. And unfortunately for us that believe in climate change, heat, higher temperatures also increase the likelihood of people blowing up and having rage episodes, because when any animal is deprived of the things that they need, they become highly aggressive because you're now competing with the ones around you for resources. And if you find somebody to be a threat, and unfortunately in today's society, compared to like 45,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, we were not as emotional as we are today. People are very much okay with expressing emotions openly. It was not that far in the past that showing emotions in any capacity was frowned upon. You could show very minor displays of joy or like a sense of peace, but you really weren't allowed to show anger. You weren't really like fear and crying and like all of that stuff. There was appropriate moments for it where they allowed it, but it was very shamed. But because we kind of like pendulum swung to the other side of the spectrum, where now a vast majority of people have no control over their emotion or very limited control over their emotion, and so they're more likely to succumb to intoxicating emotions such as lust and greed and anger. There's a reason why, though, like the 7 deadly sins, those are the things that humans struggle the most with. That's exactly why they're in the Bible, because historically we have struggled with those very things for generations. And that's the Bible, I've always believed, is just the wisdom of human existence, of reality, of our world. And it's teaching us how to be, or it should be teaching us how to be better humans if you interpret it with that mindset. And yeah, so we have always had an issue against, really, as I said, intoxicating emotions. And anger, I think, is one of the hardest for people to deal with, because it's deeply attached to other things, pride and greed and anger, or what's the word? When you're like disappointed with somebody. So yeah, like that's one of the reasons why in times of stress you're going to see it way more often. So we can definitely anticipate to see more of these types of incidents going into the future with everything that's happening. But watching these videos should definitely be a lesson to people to find ways to control yourself in public, because it's not a good look, and it also is extremely dangerous. Road rage incidents are like the 2nd or 3rd most deadly type of car related incident. So yeah, a lot to say.
You good? I just wanted to bring up another example. This is exactly what you were referring to right here. If the first one didn't get y'all and you wasn't a little bothered and triggered by that, then here's another fun little clip directly from, you guessed it, TikTok. Hold on a second.
Emerge of a bizarre road rage incident on Brisbane's Bayside. The driver of a ute can be seen passing several cars and then slowing down. Once he stopped at the lights, the driver of an Audi who'd been following behind gets out and starts throwing punches. Other drivers watch in shock, beeping their horns as the two men brawl for several minutes. Video has emerged of a bizarre road rage incident on Brisbane.
Dang. And that one of the guys looks like he's easily over 50.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's crazy.
And they're both grown old men, as far as I'm concerned. It don't matter if you 20. Like, my man, he followed him. Like, he didn't care about hurting anybody else in the pursuit of this person. He didn't care about none of that. This was in Australia, by the way. So that just goes to tell you that it's not just in one specific country. This is everywhere.
And Australia is super hot, so I bet you it was a summer too when that happened.
Yeah. There's nothing in this world that's going to trigger me that bad at all. My life is
the only thing that would that would probably make me attack somebody is if they like actually physically hurt my children or were like coming for me. But yeah, there's if somebody steals a parking space from me, I'm just going to go find another one. Or I'm the type of person that if I can't find parking in a reasonable amount of time, unless it's an appointment, I'm just going to leave. Be like, all right, it's clearly too busy. I'll just come back at a different time. So I've learned to, admittedly, I used to have anger problems when I was a kid. Through my teenage years, through my early adulthood, like my early 20s, I struggled with it badly because, one, I have bipolar, I have ADHD, I'm sensitive, so things would flare me up really easily. Particularly if it felt like a challenge to my, I'm particularly proud of my intellect and my facts, and if people challenge me on something, I would get really bothered. But typically, it was never to people I didn't know. It was always directed at family members, my parents, I should say. But as that age, I was afraid that if I didn't figure out how to rein it in, that I would accidentally do something in public and that I would embarrass myself or possibly even get in trouble. I've always been quite fearful of law enforcement because it's Russian roulette. You really don't know how it's all going to turn out. And I just don't want to be involved in any of that. I have ADHD, so it's hard for me to manage stuff, and going through the process of being in court and stuff, it's terrifying, and I would never want to go through that. But all that's to say, I knew that as an adult I can't act like that, and so I put in a lot of work on myself to make sure I don't act like that and to make sure I resolve my anger issues, whether it was taking medication or finding therapy or seeking out alternative methods of treatment that helped a lot. And I think part of it is that a lot of people aren't willing to do the work it takes to and also the humble, you have to be humble in a way to accept that you're a flawed human being and that there are things about yourself that are not good for you and the people around you, and to admit that you need to change some things about yourself. And not a lot of people today are willing to do that type of work consistently. And so I think we have a lot of people that are just not competent at, as I said, managing difficult emotions, and they might not even have an awareness that they are the equal cause of the situation. Because I know with these mental blocks, a huge part is accountability. And I've noticed just from my own research that anger issues come with a lack of accountability, because the person that's raging out basically believes they did something to me, so it's okay that I act like this. And the big difference is it's okay to feel the anger, but it's not okay to act out that anger, especially when it harms another person. And I think a lot of people haven't really made that realization yet, or at least they're unwilling to do that. Or sadly, a lot of people don't have access to these services that would help them manage it. So there's that as well.
A lot of this stuff can be avoided if people really took time out to love themselves. Like actually love yourself. Do people really know what loving yourself actually looks like? What it feels like? What type of work goes into it? The components that need to be added to it, the things that need to be removed out of your life. Being in your comfort zone, being outside of your comfort zone, and having to learn how to adapt to being outside of it and inside of it, and having an even keel perspective of being accountable and also being able to give and take what you dish out versus constantly going after everybody else for things that they are probably flawed in. I mean, like it's just a lot to take in, and I have gotten to a place in my personal walk that I know that I can't control how you're going to respond to something that's going on in a grocery line. You're impatient, you want to cut, you only got one item, the other person got 80 pieces. You feel like because you got one item, that should make it okay for you to get in front of them because you, it don't work like that. There's like little nuances with people's self entitlement that it's like, nah, you're in line just like I am. I got here before you did. Therefore, it's an option for me to do this and let you get in front of me. I don't have to. I'm not obligated to it. And you should be okay with either or. But you have people who really get annoyed and bothered by the fact that you just don't want to give up your spot. And it's no different to me than being on the road. You are driving a 2-ton plus machine that is capable of killing just about anything in its path. Doesn't even have to go extremely fast for you to break a bone. And you have a responsibility not only to the people that's in your vehicle, yourself, but everybody else around you. And a part of that is regulating your emotions. Anger is like a fire that you can't put out if you allow it to burn way too much.
And the other quote, anger is like fire because it burns both people.
Exactly. That's
Actually,
what.
I heard a fact this morning that anger is basically a form of manipulation because by being outwardly explosive, it's basically a fear tactic. You're trying to subdue the other person by making them scared and making them back down. So it's a tactic to control people. We as humans, if we don't work on ourselves, we don't deal well with lack of control, and that's another part of it. Anger comes from your lack of ability to control the outcome of the situation and the fact that the person did something that bothered you and you can't do anything about it, and it's you trying to do something about it after the event. Yeah.
The incident happens. The man assaults your child, calls you out your name. What does what does this side say? Run them down, pull up on them, follow them. What does this side say? Call the police. Handle it the right way. Let them do their job. We pay for EMTs, we pay for firefighters, we pay for police officers, sergeants, et cetera, et cetera. We are the reason why they have what they have, the taxpayers. Do you think I'm about to risk my freedom? Let them do the dirty work. That's what they get paid for.
Also, as a minority, it's kind of a double risk to get involved in any sort of law enforcement related incidents because it just puts you in more at more risk of being profiled and illegally treated. That's another thing we have to consider. People have to consider when they act out in public is they're acting out in public under the assumption that they'll get their own way, but that definitely does not always happen, and it can backfire. I mean, that one lady, she didn't she attack somebody because they did something to her daughter, and she was the one that ended up going to jail and not the one that did the thing to her daughter?
Yeah.
We talked about it last week or something.
Yeah. The guy, man, he was real bold. He knew she was recording. He openly said, "Here's my license plate. You followed me all the way home. So what? So what? Go ahead. Do whatever you right." Say that to the wrong person at the right time. You were with your wife. If you were with your wife and your son.
And she was doing that in front of her daughter.
Yeah. The way that she handled it wasn't really the best way, and I'm just trying to look at it from both sides. So if this was any other person, like I just did a reaction video where a guy killed the customer because he had an argument with him at Wendy's.
Don't tell me it was over a tip.
It was over mustard.
Whoa, that's even worse.
Yeah, it was over a fucking condiment.
I want to know more about that, because how can you possibly get in a fight over mustard?
I think he was pissed off because he didn't give him enough sauce. And they just got into it, and like
Greed.
Yes, please. And you be thinking like this stuff is not real. When you see the captions, it's like, come on, this nah. And no. And then you read the article, and then it's like, damn, I can't believe we've really got people out here that's really crashing out over some of the most stupidest things.
It makes me think of this article I saw on Tuesday. A mother attacks principal and superintendent during a parent-teacher conference about her daughter's violent behavior in class.
I was getting ready to cover that too. That's funny as hell that you came across that too. That's wild.
That's why I said the thing about the daughter, because half of it comes from their parents. The kids are acting out in the way that the parents are acting, because whether we like to admit it or not as parents, our kids copy us, and everything they see in us, that's what they're going to do, unless you either re-guide them or they guide themselves somehow. It's crazy how many people don't realize that their behaviors have an effect on their children and their other family members.
Well, here's the problem going forward. I don't think neither man or woman in this case is leaving this situation a better person. Because to have that type of energy inside of you, that's not new. You didn't just grow that out of the grass or out of the dirt. You've already had that in you. Clearly, he's had it in him. The hard ER, oh yeah, he's had that in him. I don't know if that's ever coming out of him.
And he emphasized, I was like I've heard people say it in videos from the street. Obviously it's different in movies, but they usually try and mumble the end. But yeah, he was out and proud with that one.
So I know it was what 2 minutes worth of clip,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's unfair of us to kind of judge off of that, but I'm fuck it, I'm gonna judge it.
One of those things though, like there are certain things that if you do it, it kind of puts you on in the other category. At like there's some things that are just over the line, and at least in my opinion, that's one of them. Like if you that word is so steeped in honestly an embarrassing history, and embarrassing to humans that we could possibly treat people like that. And he knows, I'm like, there's not a person on the planet that doesn't understand the connotation of that word and the heaviness behind that word. It's basically the equivalent of I'm not going to say it, but terminology they would use to describe Jewish people or Hispanic people. It's just so low. I can't imagine a decent person willing to use that word at somebody. There has to be other things wrong with the person for them to be comfortable using that language.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with nobody. Traffic, bus, passenger, on a job, text message, Instagram, troll. I'm not, nope. There's people who get paid tremendously to labor and do the job. That is, yeah, I'm cool. I'm gonna turn it over to them, and then I'm gonna let them handle it. They can listen to you do all of this. You want to swing from the vines like Tarzan and break stuff. You want to break windows. You want to set poop on fire on people's porches and run off. You got it. You can do whatever you want. I don't get paid to deal with idiots or attitude problems or anger because you as an adult don't know how to control yourself. They take taxes out of my check every year. So they're going to work for it. I'm going to make sure they work for it, at least on my end. I don't know about anybody else. Y'all think y'all handling things and you're not really handling them. You're just making it worse. People want to talk about your kids with you there or without you there. You're going to get in a lot of traffic situations that you're not going to be comfortable with. You might be stuck for an hour. I've been stuck in traffic for hours.
The record traffic jam was like 10 days long. It was in China, but I can't even imagine that. we had it lucky.
At that point, I done got out the car and walked home.
That's what partially made it so bad, because it was blocked by people that literally were like, it's been like 4 hours, I'm leaving.
Yeah, that's crazy as hell. Not doing it. This brother, he lost his job, which he's probably going to end up getting another one. I don't think there's a protocol or like some type of registry for assholes who use the N-word, and so now they don't get hired because of it. They got it for certain stuff, but I don't think they have it for that.
Keep in mind, though, the time that we're in, like, unemployment is 1 out of 4 people looking for jobs aren't finding work within 3 months of them looking. Some people have been applying to thousands of jobs and aren't getting anything. If you have any minor issue or in his case, that's a pretty major issue, at least to an employer, because they don't want behavior like that. That stands a chance that he's not actually going to be able to get a job for a while, unless he finds a more male-dominated industry. He could probably get away with getting into something like construction or mining or something like that, where that behavior is more tolerated. But I think a lot of professional type jobs are now out of reach to him, especially because there's just not that many jobs available. So he's already competing with an excessively large pool of individuals and does not have very good credentials compared to a lot of other people.
Yeah, I'd say good luck to him, but really, I could care less. For real.
Good riddance.
With people like him and her, it's tragic on both sides. The children suffer the most. Your behaviors moving forward, if they don't stop and you don't deal with it immediately, like check it, look back at this video, look back at that exchange between you and him, and ask yourself if that's how you want to deal with problems moving forward. I keep saying there's a video. I'm on social media half the day looking for stuff to bring up here.
Me too.
Like one guy, they out in Maryland, UPS driver. He's literally doing his job. He's in his truck in traffic. The guy, he was in a Jeep Cherokee or something. He parks, blocks traffic, gets out his car, walks over to the UPS driver. It's a freight truck. It's not one of them small. It's the actual freight truck. He gets out his car, walks over to him, said, "You ought to lose your life today." They getting into it, and I'm like, "Come on, man."
I'm not gonna lie, it's one thing to I guess fight in a parking lot or whatever, or in a store, you're just kind of already face to face. But the amount of work it would take to slow down your car on a busy road, pull over, finding a spot, and then all the stuff to turn off your car and then get out of the car and then approach the person and start. I'm like, that is so excessive. There's so many opportunities for you to think to yourself, this is probably not a good idea. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But they do. And especially to get out in the middle of a road, an actual busy road, is just you really are trying to get killed. I don't understand it.
Or you could get in a high-speed chase like we just saw and basically follow them until there's a red light and then get out there.
Or not go, or just go through the red light, as we've also seen people do.
Mm-hmm.
You heard, I think it was a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. Do you remember that case of, there's a woman who was mad at her boyfriend because I don't even think he did anything. I think he was just she suspected he was cheating, or he wasn't giving her enough attention or something. She was mad about something. So she drove a car going it was probably about 115 or 120 miles an hour, and she crashed the car and killed him and her friend. And I just remember the video. She was when she found out that she had killed both of them, she was just sobbing, and she's like, I can't go to jail. Like it was an accident, and blah blah blah. I'm like, girl, that was not an accident. You put your foot down to the floor. That is not an accident. And it's stuff like that, kind of like what Liberty Twitcher had said, like people aren't taking accountability, and we've been kind of taught as a society that we're victims of circumstance, not in control of our own, for lack of a better, less cliche term, our destiny. What's that phrase? The only thing that you can control is yourself. The only thing you have the capacity to control is your mind, your body, and your actions, or something like that. There's a heavy degree of, it wasn't my fault. I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. I was just in the heat of the moment. Almost every excuse that I've heard, which is very frequent with people that are raging, they basically act as if their anger is this uncontrollable thing that just came upon them, and they have no autonomy. They lost all control of their body, and they weren't even thinking. And I think the fallacy is that they were thinking, but they were thinking in a way that allowed them to get to the point where they were no longer thinking. And I think, again, that ties back to people need to understand how to control their own emotions and how to basically make better choices before they cross the line. Because the point is to not even get to the line in the first place, to be tempted to cross it. But very few people are skilled with de-escalating themselves, let alone de-escalating a situation with another person.
I go day by day doing everything within my power to minimize the possibilities of making matters worse for myself as much as possible. That's just how my mind is wired. I'm not going out of my way to add on to something that is out of my control. Anything within my perimeter, and I have access to it, and I can mold and shape it into whatever I want, I'm going to do what works for me. What happens outside of that is out of my realm. I'm not even trying to understand it. I understand it enough to know that it's not my business. But I don't know. It's not going to stop. I mean, because every time I come home or I'm going in, there's always traffic. There's always somebody getting into an accident. It's always something. Always. Never fails. Never fails. I was thinking about something and I lost it. Oh, my final thoughts. It was, so there's a 4-lane highway, and there's a van who pulls up into the highway's cameras view. Cars are going maybe 60 miles an hour. This van, as it's coming into the camera, it slows down, comes to a complete stop, and then every car that's behind it begins to slow down, and except for one. That one car crashes into the back of the other ones. The van that slowed down the traffic proceeds to drive casually off, gets off and bears into the shoulder on the right as if nothing happened, left a whole bunch of mess behind him. That I would be pissed about. I'm not going to chase you down, but I'd be pissed about that. You're in the fastest lane. You have no business in this lane. If you have an emergency and you need to pull over and stop, you know how to get over into the grass. They didn't do that. They slowed down everything, and then had cars playing bumper cars. Boom, 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 and then they just say, "Oh, let me go ahead and get up out of here." Work on yourself, people. That's my message. Work on yourself. It's not that serious. Everybody's trying to get home. I know I've said this before, but everybody's trying to get home. You know, there's other options.
People want to get home in one piece.
Right. The racism stuff, that's not going to go nowhere. I've just accepted the fact that's not going nowhere.
It's just going to shift to other people.
Yeah.
Or it's going to stay on the same people perpetually, because I don't know what it is about white people and thinking that they're better than everyone else. It's quite sad that after thousands of years, we still haven't figured out how to get along with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and then to the sister, you're gonna have to learn how to control your anger too. I mean, it's not. I understand the children thing and all that, but if you threw something at that man's car, you could have got bullet holes in your vehicle too.
Mm-hmm. She's lucky he didn't have a weapon, because in a lot of states, the stand your ground law. If somebody comes on your property, you have full rights to protect yourself. And she went onto his property, because your property line starts after the sidewalk, like after the pedestrian walkway. And so if he had a weapon on him, he could have legally shot her.
And he wouldn't have felt bad about it at all.
Yeah. He would have basically just framed it as an attack. Like, yeah. She came after me, and so I defended myself.
It seemed like his wife, or whoever she was the level-headed one there.
Yeah, she was. She probably was also scared. Like,
yeah.
I really don't want to be dealing with this right now, especially with her kid.
Oh yeah, she ain't want that smoke, and that's the funny part about it, because that's your husband. She talking reckless to your husband. She know her man was wrong though.
Oh yeah, I bet she definitely chewed him out later. What were you thinking?
Right. Like, if she would have stood up for him in that video, this would be an entirely different conversation. I don't really like. I don't know. She should have checked him, but
yeah, definitely.
Because the way he was talking, nah. But that's something else, man.
I have an anger poem I can end with if you like.
Oh, my sensational went away again. I'm about to put it back up. All right, that's what's up. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the solo, and we'll close out.
All right. I wrote this poem to exemplify what it feels like to feel strong anger, and then also to talk about the repercussions. So this is called Up to Here. Watching the steam on your cheek, blowing back with every vexed wheeze, with the invisible amorphous weight dragging you shoulder to waist, threatening to take you down to a knee, begging for answers you seek. Secret infarctions deep in the darkness, desperate screams to get rest, pushing past limits, daring your blood to cool off for just a little bit longer. Even as the eyes of your ego flood, you demand to be stronger, gripping invisible walls with emotional nubs, nails ripped out with the angry holes you dug, Will your friendly fingertips come back, or are you now programmed to attack? Reach for embraces, get lashes, turning face, returning to anoint with ashes. The spurious reconciliation begets retaliation, bristling, stressing, teeth on teeth caressing, neurons knowing well that torture's not fair, labored, leaking lungs, lacking air, burst out in exhalation and exaltation, aiding and abetting righteous humiliation.
I can't do my sensational, so this is what I'll do. I'll give you that.
Bang, 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 bang.
Great way to close out the show.
Mhm.
You digs? Shout out to Jen. Shout out to Liberty. Shout out to uh Keen. I don't know if you're still here, but appreciate you, Don. Appreciate you. Uh all love, all love. We about to get up out of here. I'm gonna be doing a double tomorrow, so you're gonna see me off the early AM, and then you're gonna see me later on the evening. So we got some work to put in. I'm all for it. I'm about to get back on these keys here in a second. I would love to do an open mic next weekend. We'll see what happens. Until then, we are up out of here. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you would. I would greatly appreciate it. And
Have enough poems, we could just do a back and forth next time.
yeah, you right about that. You right about that. If push comes to shove, why not? Oh, I almost forgot.
What's the goddamn button? What's the goddamn button?
Appreciate it kindly if y'all would. I will see you guys tomorrow. Sydney, enjoy the rest of your evening. I got the whole week lined up, even Wednesday. So you good. You ain't gotta. You can rest your brain this week. I got you covered.
Oh, I do want to say one thing before we go. Just if, especially for people in California, the wildland firefighting people and firefighters basically put out a notification that to be very careful this summer because they don't have the resources to fight large wildfires right now. And so if there are any large wildfires, they're likely going to have to possibly sacrifice communities if they're not able to get enough water resources to put out the wildfires. So if you're in California, especially if there's a lot of wildland interface, like if you're surrounded by grassland or forest, be very, very careful. And they've even advised if you live in rural locations to get your own source of water, like a water tank. That way the firefighters will have something to use and they'll be incentivized to save your house. So since we're getting into the depths of or the beginnings of wildfire season, I just want to put that out there since I'm already seeing a lot of fires popping up.
My thoughts and prayers go out to y'all out there, wherever you are. Be safe.
Mm-hmm.
The material things ain't worth your life.
Facts.
You can always get that back. You can't.
Make sure you have kennels for your pets too.
Yeah. What was it? Volcano?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it? No? Was it? It was Volcano, and I believe it was Lake Placid. Volcano and damn, it's on the tip of my tongue too. It was one of my favorite movies. It was another volcano movie. It was probably older than or just as old as it was. It had Sarah Connor in it. Hold on, let me see something. I need to remember the name of that one.
Hotter than hell?
Nah.
Or was it the volcano movie that was like in LA?
Dante's Peak.
Oh yeah, Dante's Peak. I love that one. That was my favorite.
I love animals, but I'm not about to go into a burning house and do all that crazy shit for no pet. You tripping. I'm sorry.
Driving on lava.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, that was my movie, man. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
I just watched that last week.
Sensational. No, you didn't say Sharknado. You got it. It's time. Yeah, it's time to go.
That's her cue.
Yeah. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to Jen. I think she's tired. Yeah, we out of here, man. Y'all have a blessed night.